There's lots of debate over what makes a hack and what makes a homebrew. To me, a hack is when somebody takes a pre-existing game and molds it into something new by swapping around the graphics and the stage design. And I'd say a homebrew is a new game usually done in a retro style, but it's totally original, using no characters or graphics that have appeared in previous games. So, is Mario Adventure a hack or a homebrew? By my definition, it would be a hack. But anyway, let's take a look at the game. Right from the title screen, you almost feel like you're playing the real Super Mario Bros. 3, except you're not. Mario Adventure uses the original Mario 3 game engine to deliver an all-new experience with new rules, items, and levels, which keep even the most hardcore gamer engaged. There's tons of differences between Mario 3 and Mario Adventure. I'll list some of the more notable changes. For one, Mario Adventure is a lot harder than Super Mario Bros. 3. That being the case, you die a lot more often. And each time you re-enter a level, the weather changes, which is one of the more noticeable alterations made to the game. The change in weather can make a level considerably easier or more difficult depending on what terrain you're dealt. Another change is that now, lives are unlimited. I think the game needed to do that due to the increased difficulty. It'd be near impossible otherwise. You might think that eliminates the need for coins, but it doesn't because in this game, coins serve a more useful purpose. Coins are now used in toad houses to purchase items, and there's all sorts of new items that you can get. You can re-enter old stages to get more coins if needed, and occasionally you'll find mushrooms, replacing the classic 1-ups, which give Mario an instant 50 coins. The point is, finding enough money to purchase items never becomes a big problem. Unlike Mario 3, now there's 7 worlds that you can visit in any order, but this time you have to find a hidden key somewhere within the area. Also, just like in Super Mario World, you can now keep a power-up in reserve. Extra items are stored in your item box, which is displayed in the bottom menu. You can easily switch to your stored item by pressing select. In this game, you'll encounter enemies that were never even seen in Mario 3, such as Shy Guys, who were from Mario 2, and the evil Lakitu, who relentlessly tosses bombs in your face. They also changed around the boss battles. Now almost every level ends with a Boom Boom battle. And when you fight the Koopa Kids, they take more hits to kill, and the rooms have more obstacles to avoid. Mario also has all new power-ups. I'll tell you about those. When you have Fire Mario, you can shoot your fireball straight ahead instead of having them bounce off the ground. There's an item to turn Mario invisible, which will let him go behind the background by pressing down and B. There's certain stages where having this item is extremely helpful and nearly unpassable otherwise, like this one where you can use it to hide behind the wall the whole time while the bomb blasts go off. But possibly the coolest is being able to keep the boot. In Mario 3, after you left the level, you'd lose it, but now you can take it with you to the next level. Let's talk a little bit about the level design. Mario Adventure isn't as polished as the original. Super Mario Bros. 3 was usually bright and colorful, but here, because of the changes in the weather, it often has you playing in the dark or autumn, which makes everything look black or brown. Other times it's raining, so it's usually pretty depressing to look at by comparison. When you actually get a sunny day in the game, it's really refreshing. I really like Stage 5, Starry Slopes, because it's an outer space themed world, something the original game lacked. It's also nice what they did with Stage 4 because it's set in the woods. It might be a nod to Forest of Illusion from Super Mario World. Stage 6 is called Colossal Classics. Usually when you talk to anybody that's ever played Mario 3, they'll tell you that their favorite stage is the one where everything gets big. Well, they brought that back again, and it's just as cool as ever. Stage 7 is called Desert Dares. Here, the levels are a little less like actual stages and more like mini challenges. It sort of reminds me of NES Remix, where you have to perform a small task to move on. One thing that aggravated me about the levels at first was that there was no way to get back to the overworld Warp Zone map. I got to the end of the desert area and I was having trouble beating the last stage. All I wanted to do was get back to the overworld map because I had already found the desert area's key. What I didn't know was that you can return to the overworld map by just resetting the system. Don't worry though, when you reset, you keep all your items and the keys. My concerns about getting stuck on a difficult area and not being able to progress stopped being an issue once I learned that. The designers really took care to think of issues like that. Also, when you return to a map that you've already been to, Mario will be able to pass through the levels that he's already defeated. Again, smart design. The game isn't perfect by any means, and it does have some glitches that are common in hacks. Sometimes if Mario is holding a block, the bottom menu will begin to flicker, which is distracting while you're trying to play. And check out this glitch. On the third level of Starry Slopes, I hit this brick which triggered a vine. I climbed the vine to the top, and I was stopped by an invisible block. At first I thought that's how it was supposed to be, but then I died and I had to redo the level. This time, the vine decided to load normally. Even though I enjoy this game, it certainly kept reminding me that it was a hack every so often. As I said before, most of the levels now end with a fight with Boom Boom, but occasionally you'll have to fight 2 Boom Booms. This can be a real task because you can't always just bank on grabbing the question orb to end the stage quickly. While the level's ending, the other Boom Boom is still moving around and he can still kill Mario, so you'll have to redo the level. That's one thing that could have been fixed. Other than that, I found most of the deaths to be fair. All the music is taken from previous Mario games, so there's not much to mention in terms of sound. A big issue with a lot of homebrews is that the music is often subpar. Since this is a hack, it just uses the music from Mario Bros. 3, so it doesn't have that issue whatsoever. Also unchanged are the controls. They're the same as Mario 3. Again, no complaints there. One of the things that makes this game more difficult and frustrating is that the patterns are much more random. As an example, the piranha plants come out whenever they want now. Before, if you were standing on a pipe, you knew that you were safe. Now you need to keep moving or you're dead. Another example are the bomb cannons. You'll play the level once and it shoots 2 bombs, but try it again and it might shoot 3 or more. This randomness can be aggravating and would probably make some people shy away from the game. So I only recommend it for players looking for a serious challenge. I will say, aside from a few instances, the game rarely feels cheap. When you die, it's almost always your fault. In Super Mario Bros. 3, sometimes you could just somewhat carelessly jump through a level without thinking too much and make it to the end. That's not the case here. This game forces you to think about what you're doing, while keeping your reflexes razor sharp the entire time. One thing I'm on the fence about though are the hidden keys. I'm not sure if I like the idea or I hate it. To unlock the doors that are on the overworld map screen, you have to use keys. You'd think that you'd get the keys by defeating the Koopa Kids at the end of each area, but that's not the case. The keys are found on random stages throughout the world. This is one aspect I don't really care for. Mario games are usually very straightforward, and having it this way is very cryptic. That said, the game does give you clues for where to look, but you better write them down because otherwise you'll forget and have no clue where to look. Fortunately, I was recording my gameplay so I could go back and look, but take my advice and have a pen and paper ready to write down the clues for the hidden keys. One other thing about the keys, I heard that the keys can be replaced by other items in your inventory when it gets full. So make sure to use your keys as soon as you get them by returning to the overworld map and unlocking the doors. This game stands out from other Mario hacks because of the quality and care put into it. You can tell that a lot of thought went into this one to make it something special for those that loved the original game when they were kids. A few years ago I played Zelda Outlands, which is a much more difficult, redesigned version of the first Zelda game. I spent a long time playing that and I was eventually able to beat it. That was quite an accomplishment for me, but I'm not sure I'd try it again because it was so hard. Beating that once was more than enough for me, and I think the same can be said for Mario Adventure. So while it's definitely worth trying to beat once, I think the replay value is pretty low because you probably won't want to try to do it again. I was really happy when Nintendo started making the new Super Mario Bros. Games because it brought back the traditional side-scrolling style that the Mario franchise was built on. I love those games, but they aren't quite the same as playing Super Mario Bros. 3. Mario Adventure brings back that feeling of playing Mario 3 for the first time when you were a kid, but amplified for an adult player, and it's worth it just for that. Also, I think we've become a bit spoiled by checkpoints in the modern Mario games. Here, you get a much bigger sense of accomplishment when you defeat a level because you have to make it through the entire thing without dying. Often, levels in Mario Adventure have multiple sections, such as this one that begins with a moving tank and then progresses to an underground castle. You have to do it all in one shot, and it's a true test of the player's endurance and skill. Overall, I'd compare this game to the Japanese Mario 2. If you've ever played that game and enjoyed it, then you'd probably like this one as well. For me, I think Mario Adventure is definitely worth owning, but only if you're the type of gamer that finds tough games rewarding. If you're a more casual player, I'd say just stick to Mario 3.